So this time we have yet another article from the express.co.uk news website. So the article reads as China fires furious consequences warning to US in South China Sea warship face-off. So I think this fiasco or this standoff between the US and China has been going on for quite some time now. Just that it has been receiving intermediate media coverage now and then. But I think after Trump took over the presidency in the United States, it has just gone from bad to worse. Now, this is not to speak ill of Trump, it is just that of late, Trump's aggressive posturing towards China in terms of the whole trade war, in terms of levying tariffs on Chinese goods, all this has kind of forced China to a corner, and it has also forced China to take a more aggressive stance militarily as well. But let us just read through this because there is a bit of history associated with this conflict or issue. China originally claims that there is a map which was about 70 years old and which kind of establishes China's claim for the South China Sea waters. Most people dispute this as something that has been made up and there is no legitimacy for it. Some of the countries that are with China on this are Malaysia and Thailand, whereas Philippines has adopted a contrarian stance and is mostly in support of United States to preserve international law. So sometime back this matter was taken up at the International Court of Justice and it was ruled that China was in violation of international maritime law, that they were not only violating the international waters, but they were also aggressively constructing man-made islands all along the South China Sea and establishing military bases, showing their aggressive intent as well. So this has been going on for a while now, and let us try to analyze this a little more. So the article says that a Chinese naval commander warned a US warship, telling them that they would suffer consequences if they did not change course in the run-up to a near miss in the South China Sea. So previously we never had such a situation. What is so different about this situation is China has never been known to give warnings and talk about consequences to a country like US. Now that makes it a first, and that is worth noting. The language is worth noting, right? Because previously they've been saying, okay, this is to notify you that you are violating international waters and please move away, and it's more like polite warnings and all of that. But now the language has become aggressive, and that is noticeable in this episode. So article goes on to talk about how the destroyer issued a verbal warning to the USS Decatur seconds before the Chinese ship passed 45 yards from the vessel in a maneuver Washington called unsafe and unprofessional. So I think China came really close to escalating the prevailing tensions between US and China, and I'm not sure what their intent is, but let's read on. So Chinese commander told his US Navy counterpart, "You are on a dangerous course," and the US vessel responded by saying, "We are conducting innocent passage." So all along US has been maintaining that, look, we have every right to take our ships through international waters, and it is illegal on the part of China to issue warnings to ships on international waters. Now, what is at stake for China or for the United States? That particular stretch of water is particularly significant because it is rich in oil and gas resources. There are billions and billions of tons of oil and billions of tons of gas that is potentially locked up within the sea floor. So not only that, there's a lot of international cargo or merchandise that goes through these waters, and there's a lot of trade that actually happens through this particular passage of the South China Sea. So China is obviously trying to stake claim with the help of some of the neighboring countries as well. But then it has created a new flashpoint between US-China relations, and it can potentially start World War III. And I'll tell you why. Because right from the time Trump got elected as president, the deep state has been trying to start World War III one way or the other. And the deep state has its own leverage and control over the Chinese state as well. And this is an outcome of that, and the Rothschilds and many other secretive European families who are mostly Zionists are looking to somehow kickstart World War III and achieve their stupid goals of depopulation and whatnot by using China as a pawn. So it's a global chessboard which is being played out between the Trump administration and the deep state. So China is only a front for the deep state. Let's understand that first. Okay, let's move on. So it also says that US Pacific Fleet officials complained the unsafe and unprofessional maneuver by the Chinese destroyer. Obviously, right? I mean, you're coming in 45 yards of the ship. I mean, what do you expect? They insisted the USS Decatur was deployed on a freedom of navigation patrol near the Spratly Islands, which is a disputed region of the South China Sea. A Beijing Defense Ministry official defended the crew, saying they took quick action and made checks against the US vessel in accordance with the law and wanted to leave the waters. So they're just, trying to hush up the whole thing and make it look it's all perfectly normal. What's the fuss all about? I mean, let's just move on, that kind of language, but it really doesn't help. On the other hand, Bill Hayton, who is an associate fellow with the Asia Pacific program at Chatham House, he said that Chinese actions may have been a deliberate decision to raise the level of antagonism. So this comes on the back of the trade war, like I mentioned before. So Chinese employment is at stake, Chinese economy is at stake, and somehow they are frustrated with Trump's policies, foreign trade policies. So Trump at the end of the day is only trying to protect Americans and ensuring that the local manufacturers are able to find a market for their good and not be overpowered by unjust and unfair trade practices on the part of China. So we all know what's been going on. It's been going on for the last 20-30 years, and China has literally grown rich on the back of these tax waivers. So we all know what's happening, but now all of a sudden China finds itself in a position where the tax holiday is over and they're kind of waking up to the reality, as it were. So he went on to say, to my knowledge, this is the first time we had a direct threat to an American warship with that kind of language. So that's what makes this incident unprecedented. So we're really pushing the envelope on World War III, and something's got to give, either in the Middle East or with China. It's really crazy. This, I think, is the first time we had the idea of suffering consequences. So that does seem to be an increased level of intimidation. So yeah, I mean, the language is getting aggressive. China is looking to flex its muscles, and it doesn't bode well for the whole Southeast Asian region. Anyways, if you enjoyed this article and if you want to keep in touch with international news, do subscribe to my channel and do like my videos, and feel free to comment in the comment section below. I'd like to hear your thoughts as well. And until next time, take care of yourself. Bye bye.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me, even if it's